What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. So happy you're tuning in to Men Talking Mindfulness. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to the show. Will, always a pleasure to be with you, brother.
Yeah, it's great to be back. John, thank you so much. I love doing this with you. I love what, how it's growing, like how our the Men Talking Mindfulness virus is spreading. I probably shouldn't say that, but it is. So thanks, John. It's great to be here. It's cold as hell in New York today. It is like 20 degrees and windy AF. And it is it's tough right now in New York as far as weather, but I love being here. So thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. And I think we're going to run through some good performance hacks today, and we want to talk about what that means. But before we do that, let's get into our typical practice of starting with the grounding. This week, I'm not as chaotic as I was last week. I was all over the place last week, but here I am. Broadcasting from my basement guest bedroom and, in a different place mentally and physically and in my nervous system. So I feel much better that I can lead the practice, at least the initial grounding practice today rather. I know you guys are on the afternoon out there on the East Coast, but we'll lead that practice, and then we'll go into our personal mindful moments or mindful minutes for the week. And then we'll get into our life hacks that we want to share with the crew. So that said, if you're watching or if you're listening later, go ahead and get into a position that is comfortable for you. I personally like sitting in a chair, my hands on my lap. And when I do an initial grounding, I have my palms up. That invites kind of a feeling of vulnerability, which taps further into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we want to do when we do a grounding practice, because the parasympathetic nervous system, or the rest and digest nervous system, that's what calms you down, brings your heart rate down, brings your blood pressure down, brings your respiratory rate down, and just calms you physically and emotionally and mentally. So that said, assume a comfortable position, again, whatever that looks like for you. And just bring your attention very acutely to your breathing. We're not going to do any excessive breathing drills this morning, but just pay very close attention to your breathing. Notice as you breathe in how your belly and your chest expand and how your diaphragm raises. And then as you breathe out, notice the reverse, your belly and chest contracting and your diaphragm falling. And just notice that expanding and rising, contracting and falling. Expanding and rising, contracting and falling. And just continue breathing naturally. And now take an internal selfie. Take a look at where you are in your body. Notice any pain or any tension that may be manifesting itself as pain or tightness Really scan your body from your head, moving slowly down through your face, your neck, your upper torso, your arms, out to your hands, continuing to scan down your torso, your lower abdomen, your lower back, into your buttocks, hamstrings, thighs, moving further down past your knees, into your shins and your calves, into your feet, and all the way out to your toes. Again, in this process, just taking stock of what you're feeling physically in your body. And continuing with that internal selfie, look at your nervous system. Are you feeling amped up, anxious, nervous, stressed? If you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Just notice it. Be with it. And lastly, look at your mind. How is your mind? Are there a million thoughts floating, bouncing around? Or is your mind settled and focused? Again, no judgment on either end of that spectrum, but just notice it. And now come back to your breath. Notice the rising and falling of your diaphragm, the expanding and contracting of your belly and your chest. To round out this grounding practice, we'll do one deep cleansing breath. Begin by breathing out all your air, bringing your navel to your spine, and then breathe deep down into your belly, expanding that belly into your chest. Hold it and relax. And when you're ready, go ahead and invite some movement back into your body. If you had your eyes closed, slowly open them. If you didn't, just start to refocus your gaze and come out of the practice when you're ready.
Nice, John. I got John
Thanks,
right
brother.
away. I think I gotta say, I think I'm the hot mess today. I, as I'm meditating, I'm like, oh shit, I left a burrito in the oven. So I'm gonna take it out right now because I'm about to burn the house down. I'm not kidding you.
All
It's
right.
like, oh my god. Yeah. Okay, out of the oven. It's like
Well,
I'm sitting here meditating, John, and I'm like, what's that smell? I'm like, oh my god.
oh,
I have
that's
my oven on.
hilarious.
So everything is safe.
Well, there you
Oven's
go.
off.
At least
But-
you're paying enough attention to know that you had the burrito in the oven, you smelled it, and you weren't completely all over the place. So I guess that brings us to our mindful moment of the week, man. Was
Yeah,
this your mindful
yeah.
moment?
Well, I gotta say, John, my mindfulness moment of the week. Thank you. What I discovered this week was forgiveness. One thing I've been battling with one of my relationships, someone near and dear to me this week, and I was very unsure how to deal with this. I talked to several of my, my closest people just to see like what is up, or where should I go, or how do I. And a friend of mine reminded me. He's like, Will, you can let your energy and your bandwidth be sucked up by this, by this moment and all these feelings. I was having trouble sleeping with all, because of this. And today I decided, you know what, I'm just going to forgive and move forward, because like my energy is needed elsewhere, to help other people. And so just like, letting things go, forgiving and moving on is not easy. But it definitely, just by forgiving, writing a message, and just letting it go, and putting that energy out there, forgiveness, and creating a different intention instead of holding on to something, um, uh, has been a gift for me this week for sure. So that's
Nice,
definitely
man.
helped me create a lot of mindfulness. Yeah.
That's key. And as we talked about last week, compassion, and I think that
Yeah.
ties into that moment for you, and
Hmm.
that's
For sure.
critical for your relationships. It's also critical for where you are internally, mentally, in
Yeah.
going through managing and working through relationships. So
Yeah.
that's good on you, man. My mindful
Thanks. Yeah.
moment came last night, when I don't know if you've ever seen these toys, but I've got, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I've got these toys they're magnets, and they're in the shape of like triangles and squares, and you can build things with these different magnetic toys or pieces. And my daughter, um, she's building this like little square, and then puts little toys inside of it. And she's like, Daddy, will you come play with me? And I had my phone in my lap, and I was like trying to do some of the tasks that are on my to-do list. And I just stopped. And I was like, you know what? This is not important right now. Not at all. I can put this off till tomorrow during the workday. What should I be doing? I should go over there and play with my daughter. And so I started playing with her, and I was having so much fun in the moment playing with my daughter. And she turns and stops, and she's like, Dada, I like playing with you. It fills my heart. This is a 3-year-old. And I was just like, oh, because earlier in the day, she had been a little pill, and had been a little frustrating dealing with her. But I tell you, that right there made it all worth it, and completely melted me. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm 100% in, baby girl. I'm here to play.
Yeah.
However long you want to play, I'm here. So
Wow. Great,
yeah,
Sean. I
yeah,
mean, look at both of us. Like, hey, it's not always about tasks or doing things for ourselves, but look at both of us in this relationship.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like, and letting go of stuff that gets in the way of something meaningful. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I let go of, like, what, holding on to like something I wanted, which, is just kind of monetary and bullshit in some ways, and frustrating. And now we're in a new place. And look at you, like with your daughter. I mean, that's great, John. I mean,
yeah.
God, that would melt my heart too, to have my 3-year-old, who you're great. Like, she's a byproduct of you, John. So congratulations for having such already a mindful and conscious, loving daughter.
Oh man, yeah, I was so proud, and it just, like I said, it just melted me right there. So,
Yeah,
but and
great.
since we kind of both talked about relationships, I know what we're going to be talking about is performance hacks. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
before we started the show, did a great job of explaining how you had broken down some of your performance hacks. I've just got a
yeah,
list, but I think they all
yeah,
kind of fall into some of those bins. But you talk about social and emotional.
yeah,
You want to talk about, let's talk about that. Since we're talking relationships now, you want to talk about the social
yeah.
hacks, some of what you got
Yeah,
there?
let's absolutely go in. I just want to actually take one step back and just talk about, like, what do we mean by a hack,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like, just
yeah,
to kind of set a frame around this. It's like, and hacking is like, think about like computer hacker, right? They're trying to find a code, to break a code, to get into like the source code, like the basis of the computer itself. And you can think of that computer as like in this case, our like inherent like biological brilliance is what I like to think of. And brilliance, because we can hack in and light ourselves up. Um, and by lighting ourselves up, I'm talking, we can light ourselves up energetically, we can focus more, we can relax, we can get centered, grounded, we can elevate our creativity and our processing. And I guess the categories that I have are five, and we'll jump right into the emotional and the social. So like, how we can affect ourselves physiologically, how we can affect ourselves mentally, emotionally we talked about, also socially, and other ones are execution hacks, in order to kind of make all these things come to fruition. So let's you wanted to start with the social, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it just
We'll
kind of
just start
naturally
there, or
flowed from
emotional. Yeah, of
what both
course.
of our
Yeah,
mindful
absolutely.
moments were.
Uh, you know, well, emotional, I guess, because we started that emotional space. It's like, for me, it's really, I emotionally hack in when I start to envision the things that I want, right? And not just envision, but allow that imagination of it to really begin to fill my heart and really activate me. Horns outside, activate me emotionally as well. So I'm not just there mentally, but I'm also there emotionally. And in heart math, which is it's an organization and science that have been hacking into the technology of our own hearts. And they call, when we're able to activate the heart, they call it a regenerative experience, or a regenerative feeling. And like the heart has its own, neurochemistry, and it also has its own. They've actually been able to measure with the heart the electromagnetic frequency of the heart, that is actually can create a force of energy around us that actually begins to affect other people. So in this particular situation, for me, it's like, what do I want this relationship to be? Instead of holding on to, it's like, what this relationship is doing to me. And by living in that higher vision and those higher feelings of the relationship that I want, it helps me to let go of the stuff that my kind of ego, or how hurt my feelings are. And I'm not saying I'm completely 100% out of it right now, but I know going forward, like, that's where I want the relationship to be, and that's what's most sacred to me. And so that's the vision that I hold, and therefore that's the action that I'm taking. So
Yeah, nice.
that's where
I
I'm at.
mean, just being quiet and being a mindful man, or just a mindful person writ large,
Yeah.
you're able to tap into those emotions and then see how those emotions come into play in not only in yourself, but kind of
Mhm.
that aura, if you will, and
Yeah,
how that
it really.
influences, through the mirror neurons, how that affects others around you. But you could also completely flip that around and come in to a relationship completely negative, completely jazzed up, tense, stressed out, angry even, and
Mhm.
that also gets reflected in a relationship. And
And has a
so
force field itself too, right?
completely.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that heart math. I was using it a year ago, kind of to develop the heart coherence, right? And it's
Yeah, you
really
go.
fascinating when you start, as you use the app, it says, think about somebody that you love, and you
Mhm.
see as you're thinking about somebody you love, how the emotional kind of armor that you're wearing gets broken down, and your heart
Mhm.
literally has those neurons. Your heart has neurons in it too. How that it affects positively your heart coherence. It's incredible. I've actually got. I
Yeah.
don't have the heart coherence right here next to me, but I've got another thing called the Focus Calm. It's a neuro feedback thing that I've started wearing, and I wear it as I meditate. Just here, like I look like something from um, Tron or something.
Star
But
Trek or something.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
as I wear it, it gives me that neurofeedback to show me that I've actually relaxed instead of
Nice.
just thinking that I've relaxed. I see the actual objective feedback, which is nice. I mean, I like, obviously
Yeah.
I like feeling relaxed, but I like to see the objective feedback saying, hey, you know
Yeah.
what? You were jazzed up. Kind of, we talked about that internal selfie at the beginning of this. You were jazzed
Yeah.
up prior to doing this meditation. You did a meditation, and now you're objectively seeing that it has changed to
Yeah.
a much calmer state of mind. But sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that emotional hack there, brother, and how it ties in directly to the social side of things.
Yeah.
So
Hmm. Well, the social, I mean, for me, and then I want to get into your emotional stuff, John, too, your hacks. Like, I mean, the social is like, so in this particular scenario, like I needed to be open with my feelings, to people that I love and respect, that are kind of counseling me in how to best deal with this circumstance. So I was just like raw. I mean, I was like, almost crying as my friends in some ways, because it's just like, oh man, what do I do? Um, so just that vulnerability. But like two others socially is like listening. We talk so much about listening, and listening has a natural sense of compassion and empathy, because you're connecting on such a basic level. So those are kind of the social aspects in that. With the emotional stuff too, it's just being willing to open up and speak truth.
Yeah.
I think I think it's also very important right nowadays. It's just speaking from your truth and sharing truth with other people. And that's going to just create tighter social bonds. And that's what, that's how we thrive as individuals.
Right. Yeah. And one of my emotional hacks, and it's definitely not mine, I just use it, is, and we're going to talk about this a lot next week with Liz Plank on the show, but you and I are both reading Liz Plank's book, For the Love of Men. And in it, she references Brene Brown's work with vulnerability, and how Brene Brown references vulnerability can be the glue in a relationship. A lot of us think, giving gifts or speaking a certain love language, which I also believe in, the love languages, but I also believe being vulnerable and talking through what it is you're experiencing can really work to develop bonds that may not otherwise develop. And that's in an emotional a romantic relationship, but it can also be with friends, with family, and with coworkers even. So I think that's one of my emotional hacks. And it comes back to, one of our sayings is, this show is raw, uncut. Sorry about that. Uncut and authentic. And it's off that authentic piece, right? Is where being vulnerable is. And I think that's my emotional performance hack.
Yeah, great. I mean, it's like, I'm not surprised that they're similar, because it's really like, those are the foundation of great social experiences and wonderful relationships, are that authenticity and that vulnerability. So
right.
Yeah.
What about some of the physiological hacks, man? What do you have for performance enhancing for physiological?
Well, I think one of the most basic ones that I do, that anybody can do, is just staying hydrated. And I like to think, because I've been writing a book, like it turned into a manual first about mindfulness, and I did some research, John, trying to find, like, I mean, I was going into the research, not just like reading articles from, the People magazine or whatever, but going into the scientific journals, and there's not a lot of science out there about optimal hydration, and like really like what it means to the body to drink a certain volume of water every day. But what I think, some things I have found, is staying optimally hydrated is drinking 3 to 4 liters of water a day. Another way to calculate that is also drink half of your body weight in ounces. So if I'm 200 pounds, I should be drinking a minimum of 100 ounces a day of water. And that's not saying if I'm out there running and exuding a lot of energy physically in some ways, I'm going to need more water. And water is like, it's the river that flows through our body that keeps us healthy, that keeps us strong, keeps us vibrant. And it's also the source that moves the energy around our body is water. Our bodies are over 70% water. Our minds are over 85% water. So you better believe that water and staying optimally hydrated is definitely going to raise your performance on every single level, emotionally,
100%.
Physically. 100. Yeah, exactly.
That was my number one.
Also,
that's mine. It's at the top of my list. Drink more water.
Drink more water. The other one is staying in your body, exercising. We're human. We're two things. We're human beings, right? It's the human part, like the car that we drive every day, that holds our consciousness, which is our being, right? So if my body is fresh and the tires are all rotated and the oil is changed and the inside and outside are clean, right? And I'm healthy and I'm taking care of myself, like I'm going to be able to go far. I may be able to go fast when I want to, but I'm also going to be able to sit still and just chill out, in my car. But
Yeah.
that requires a certain amount of physical exercise every single day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be just walking 10,000 steps a day. That could be going deeper into, more rigorous exercise, like, high intensity interval training or yoga or jujitsu or whatever floats your boat. But getting in your body are the two big ones that every day, these two things physiologically keeps me optimal and keeps me focused and
Nice.
moving the needle forward, if you will.
Nice.
So, and what's like, where are you at, John, with that?
Well, absolutely concur with the water. That's right at the top. Like I have my list here on the screen, and number one is drink more water, like I said. And in the comments, some people asked, or Keith Galloway asked, does coffee count? I would say no, coffee does not count, because not only is it not just water, but it's also it's a diuretic, and actually negatively influences your water intake. So if you're drinking coffee, which I am not against, as a matter of fact, I love my coffee personally, then you should be drinking even more water every day, to offset that diuretic effect of the coffee. But then over and above drinking the water and exercising every day, again, like you said, whatever floats your boat for exercise, whether that's walking 10,000 steps or whether it's doing something super intense, whatever level of fitness you're at, do something. And doing something is better than nothing. A lot of people are of the mindset you have to do all or nothing. Like if you're not getting in the gym for an hour and a half every day, then what's the point? Why even do anything? But even like 10 minutes of brisk walking is going to be better than nothing. And that's not just better for you physically, but it's going to help you mentally to perform better. But then over and above that, getting good rest, which I think mindfulness and meditation come big time into that, because a lot of the time when I don't meditate or practice mindfulness, I will wake up at 2 a.m. and then my mind will start racing, and then I may as well get up at that point because it's all over with. And that's because I haven't been practicing, and because when I wake up, I don't go directly into a practice. So my mind, I ruminate on something and I stress myself out. When what's better is to practice mindfulness and meditation, regularly, and that helps you to calm your nervous system, calm and settle your mind before you go to bed. I don't necessarily meditate before I go to bed, but some people do, and it works. But then if you do find yourself waking up in the middle of the night because your mind is racing, stop and bring your attention to your breath, bring your attention to the physical sensations, and try to stop thinking about all that noise. Obviously not literal noise, but the stuff that's bouncing around in your brain. And that will allow you to improve the rest that you get. But further is, when you do go to sleep, try to make it the same time every night, so that you set your circadian rhythms in your biorhythms, get that set. And then on the other end of that rest, wake up at the same time every day. A lot of people, when I speak to them about this, I find that they're going to sleep probably too late, and then waking up. A lot of them are waking up too early because their minds are racing. They're waking up well before their alarm clock ever goes off. And then on the weekends, they stay up even later because they're like, hey, it's the weekend. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to, drink myself into a stupor, and then wake up hours later than they regularly do. And that negatively affects the way that you rest for the rest of the week. So it's negative for multiple reasons. So if you're able to go to sleep at the same time every night and wake up every night, something that I recently read on an app actually that I use for sleep, It's actually built into my bed. I have one of these, what are they, the iRest or smart number beds or sleep number beds. And my phone has an app attached to the bed, which is kind of crazy. But anyhow, it says, hey, if you would not wake up early to do it, don't stay up late to do it. And that's what I find myself like, hey, on a Friday night when I'm thinking about binging a Netflix series, I'm like, hey, would I wake up at 4 a.m. to watch this? And then I tell myself no. And when I say no, I'm like, okay, well then I'm not going to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch it. So, hey, I'm turning it off. And that's my, those are my physio life hacks or performance hacks.
That's great. I like that question. I mean, that really sets, like, I've never heard that before, but that's like a great way of looking at priorities, like what's important. You know what I mean? Like really what is important, and rest and is very important. And also, like, you know, but de-stressing as well. Like, you know, you mentioned it could be meditating before you go to bed or doing some breathing, but it might just be getting a little bit of stress out, maybe going for like a 10-minute walk or something like that, just to kind of get the body like rinsed of that stress. Like our body, if we don't exercise, why exercise is so important, it'll take that stress and that stress energy and push it into our body. It'll put it into our organs. That's why, it's just like, but we have to get it out. We have to, like, you know, again, we have to, you know, a car that sits in the street all the time, that the battery is never charged and it just never washed, it's just gonna rot and deteriorate, you know. And our bodies are no different.
Right.
And that's those are really another. Yeah, that's great. One more that I'll briefly mention that I've been doing since August is intermittent fast, and that's really helped me upgrade everything. So I fast like 16 hours a day where I don't eat any food. And I do drink black coffee, no calories at all. I drink tea with no honey or anything like that. But that's really been a great, you know, and there's a lot of information out there. I made sure I studied that, so I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. I studied the science. One thing I'll say, one more about the sleeping is, I didn't realize TED Talks, they have a whole like educational series. So it's not just lectures, but they have an educational series in the back end of their website, and they have like 8 or 9 part about sleep, about great sleep and what makes great sleep. So I invite the listeners to go to TED. I think it's called TED Sessions, I think, or something. Instead of TED Talks, it's TED Sessions. And they have a whole bunch of stuff there. And they're all like short. They're only like 6 or 8 minute videos of some expert talking about a particular aspect of whatever science or something.
Yeah, no, I love TED Talks. That is probably something that I would stay up late to watch, because I think they're
or get up early to watch, right?
And I would, because I would get up early to watch a TED Talk.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think they're phenomenal, most of them, and very educational. And so I guess that's a life hack, is watch more TED Talks and less Netflix.
I mean, well, here's, you know, just to throw one in there right now, is like socially. And I was in Liz's book. She talks about Tim Ferriss, who's like brilliant man, great podcaster, has brought a lot of great work into the world, you know. And in Liz's book, she mentions Tim, and I've heard this many different places, but it's nice to read it again. It's like, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, right? And if those people aren't helping you get stronger, then they're making you weaker. Now, it's not, and what I want to say here, a little caveat, is maybe not the 5 actual friends or people or family members in your life. I'm also significantly influenced and inspired, like yourself, by TED Talks, or by, you know, podcasters that I listen to continually, or books that I, you know, authors that I read. So there's all these positive influences that I bring into my life in order to kind of create that, you know, my Knights of the Round Table that keep me honest, keep me fresh, and keep me inspired and moving forward. So I just want to put that there too, because it's like, you know, I think that's part of this big hack, is like, how do you stay encouraged? How do you stay loving? How do you stay on top of your game? And by me asking those questions, I'm constantly searching for people and exercises and technology that can help me achieve those things.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm part of an organization called Mission 60, and we're doing a 60-day deliberate discomfort challenge, and it's brutal. But
Yeah.
there's a meditation aspect to it. There's a physical side. There's a diet. But really, my favorite part of the whole thing is there's this tribe of people going through this challenge all together at the same time, and we're all social. There's a Facebook group for it, and on it we're all holding one another accountable to this challenge, and it's really amazing. Like it's a side benefit that I had not anticipated is how powerful that tribe is. So coming back to your 5 people that you surround yourself with, having that a tribe, whether it's people that you actually socialize with physically every day, or it's people that you socialize with virtually every day, it's just still the people that you socialize with. Who are they?
Yeah.
What are they doing to make themselves better? And what are they doing that is inspiring you to make yourself better? I think that is a huge piece in that kind of that social performance hack. So great to throw that in there at the last second.
I know, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Me too, John. The spontaneity in our show is like,
yeah, I mean,
so
what's
much.
funny? Yeah, what's always funny is, right, we've got this spontaneity and we have these lists. We at the end of the show, we always look back and we're like, well, we only made it about 1/3 of the way through that list, but it's good. It's good. It's authentic and spontaneous. And I think I love that. But
Me too.
yeah. So what about hacks that are going to help you at work? Like I think you batched it as execution. And
execution.
I'll jump into one of mine right off the bat. Is prioritization and delegation, and like really taking a look at what it is you have to do at work for the day, the week, the month, whatever it is, and truly prioritizing those things, and then realizing what you personally have to do yourself and what you can delegate. And the delegation is huge, not in only that it helps to shed some of your workload, but it also shows a trust in somebody else at work, which develops that kind of emotional connection, that social connection with someone at work. And then they can feel, hey, onus on that task. And then you can also learn, hey, are they able to handle that weight that I've just given them? And if not, what can I give them? So the delegation piece and prioritization go hand in hand, and they help to further develop the team cohesion at work. So those are 2 of my big work execution ones. What about you, Ben?
Well, I just want to talk about, like, I learned, I worked with a life coach for a while. This is like years ago, and they turned me on to, to speak about your priorities and delegation. They turned me on to 3 ways of organizing your business, basically, and how you're doing things. Like you have your genius, right? You have your excellence and competencies, right? So your genius is where you want to continually always be. You want to be in your genius, which is like, for my genius is like, it's me teaching and being creative, and that's where I want to continue to live. I want to I always want to teach. I want to be creative as a teacher, as also like a creator. But the second piece is the excellence ones, where it's like, okay, like I know how to build a website. I can definitely engage. I can write a lot. I can engage socially. I can do these other little tasks in my business and be very proficient and very good at them, right? But they bog down my genius. But then there's also competence stuff, where it's like, I kind of know what it is. I can do it a little bit, but it's like really bothersome, really sucks my energy, and I definitely need help. So, looking at categorizing, my work and what I do and how I do things in those 3 categories, it's like, okay, what do I need to delegate and push up and give to other people, so I can continue to remain in my genius of just teaching and creating and being a force for good. And that's why and once I really made those lists, then I took that list and I wrote down I put in a job post, right, and posted on my social media. I'm looking for an assistant with these skills, and boom, I found an assistant, interviewed some people, and now I have one. and they know what they're there for, because I vetted them, because like, I need you to be doing these things for me. And it's been great ever since. I've had an assistant for almost 5 years now.
Nice.
And now I'm bringing another person on to what I'm doing, my niece. I'm really excited. Hi, Talia, my lovely niece out there. She's 22, and she's going to jump on the Will Not Fear bus and start to help with what I'm doing. But that's like, so, and then I'll keep going, because that just helped me get really clear understanding, like, I don't have time for everything. We talked, I think last week, it's like, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go, no, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team, right?
Yeah.
You said team, I say go together, but yeah, same thing. Oh wait, what were we were talking? Oh, execution, right? Execution. So I'm a big fan of the quote by Confucius. I've said it here before. In order for a man to move a mountain, he must first carry away the first stone. And I mentioned this to everyone out there that's listening that wants to make some change, because I think there's a tremendous amount of value with starting with one thing, just starting one simple thing that you can consistently do. That's definitely going to help you make those changes and move the needle and achieve the success you want. But also, in the process of achieving those things, you gain the courage to take another step to move a bigger stone, right? And maybe take on a second task.
Yep.
One of the biggest execution things that I've done, John, is I set up my day, right, the night before. I sit down and I already have everything prioritized for the week. I already have everything prioritized for the month. And all I need to do is like, what do I need to execute today? And I sit down about 20 minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the night. And I start to write down what I'm going to do for the day. And I have it even timed out. It's like, I start my day at 5:30, I write in like what my definite appointments that I need to have during the day. And then I fill in my, the things that I need to accomplish in order to move forward with what I'm doing in between like those appointments that I have, based on what and it's tied into my week, and it's tied into my, I work in quarters. So I only work in 90-day sprints, and then I, attached to a year. So that's like been my biggest one. It took me a long time to develop that task. But that's the one thing I worked on, John, it was October. From October to December, I'm like, this is the one thing that I need to do every single, Monday through Friday, Saturday. I blow off the weekends. I eat like a pig. I sleep in, you know what I mean? Like I might get drunk, I might get a little high, because I'm just like, I'm done. I'm spent. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I need to chill the hell out, So, but then like come Sunday night, right? Actually, Sunday morning, another thing that I do is I just take an hour every Sunday morning, regardless of how I'm feeling. And I just go back and reflect on the week, right, that I had, right? And I look at like, how can I improve my relationships? What were my relationships this week, and what were they like? What are my wins this week? What are things I could have done better? And then and then even that Sunday night, or right then, I set up Monday, right, and that week, so I know where I'm going the rest of the week. And I tell you what, John, talking about sleep, that helps me sleep a lot more, because I don't have the anxiety. It's like, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because
Totally.
all I got to show up and execute. So
Yeah, man.
that's a big one for me, John. That has helped me in so many levels, like emotionally and execution wise. And even write in my calendar, John, when I'm working out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I even write in when I'm working out, because it's all the same time. It's all the same day. So, and that's going to take time. So that needs to go on my calendar too.
Absolutely.
And that concept of making the time, instead of, I hope I find the time. No,
Right.
make the time. Like that's
Yeah.
a big difference from making this like, I hope I could work out today. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Writing it down in
yeah.
your calendar, making it happen. That's a big
Yep.
piece. And you talk about writing things down and at the end of the day, and you talk about looking back at your day and figuring out your wins. I use this. It's called a Panda Planner. It's I think I may have even talked about it before, but it breaks down your days, breaks down your weeks and your months, and you look back on it every so often, and you say, okay, hey, I'm grateful for, I'm excited about, but then at the end of the day, you have today's wins. Hey, this is what I did well today. and how I will improve tomorrow. And also in this, you write down your schedule for the next day. And I think writing down your schedule for the next day is one of the biggest life hacks out there. But then I also, and this is going to seem like a really cheap sales pitch, but I use this thing that I helped to create, the Scrum on the Go board.
Shameless plug, John.
Yeah, shameless plug. But right now, what am I doing? I'm doing one thing: men talking mindfulness. That's it. I'm focused on that one thing for right now, and I'm doing nothing else. So I think that's another thing is prioritizing, and then not multitasking, is focusing on one task at a time, and how that can really set you up mentally for actually getting through multiple tasks through the day, rather than just getting portions of multiple tasks through the day. So
exactly. And when you accomplish nothing, then right. I just want to quick, John, I want to give a shout out to my assistant Lindsay. She's like, yo,
I see that. Don't I get a shout out?
What's up, Lindsay? I know she's like, she has she's an ultimate executor, you know what I mean? I call her, she's my executive assistant, because she just executes our plan. And I say our plan because we are on the same team.
Nice.
You know,
I love it, man.
Well, we got a little bit more with John. I think we have, we can take a couple more minutes, I think. So mental. So we haven't really talked about mental hack. And you jump right in if you want, or else there's something else. But I think that we haven't got to any mental ones yet. So what are some of the things that you do to keep fresh and stay on top of your game mentally?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we've actually said that they're mental hacks, but we've covered some. I mean, obviously, I think meditating is a huge one. Practicing mindfulness throughout your day is a huge one. Sleeping and actually getting quality rest, that's a big one. But yeah, mental, I think it also plays into some of the other pieces, the social, like having a social break in your day, like not waking up at 5 a.m. and working from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m., not working the entire day. I mean, the old saying, all work and no play makes somebody a dull boy. I forget who it is.
Go watch The Shining, okay?
Yeah,
go watch
right.
Shining.
Red Rum.
Go watch The Shining.
But yeah, all work and no play. It's going to make you turn a little stir crazy, just like he does in The Shining. And I think if you take breaks in between meetings, especially with so many people working from home and doing back-to-back Zoom calls, taking 5 minutes in between these meetings, rather than setting them up to be an hour long, set them up to be 55 minutes long, and taking that break mentally in between those meetings. And then having some social time with your friends, whether that's virtually or in person, and having some time with your loved ones, whether that's your family, whether that is your friends, but having some fun, some play time, if you will. I think that's key to the mental performance improvement.
Yeah, so true. I'm going to mention just a couple more. Meditation, you already said, what's helped me so much mentally, and it's literally shifted my entire life in the beginning, is journaling. Just, stream of thought. I'm going to attribute this to, you might hear Morning Pages by Julia Cameron. She wrote a great book called The Artist Way. She actually started me on my mindfulness journey. I had no idea I was going to be here when I started this 20 years ago now. I had no idea that I was going to be here, but journaling has really helped me. Just it's kind of a brain dump. Just like I don't really, I just put everything down. If I'm feeling shitty, it's just like, oh my God. Or it's like, if I'm having that relationship problem, it's like, what am I going to do? Like, this is so hard. Like, and just like having this conversation with yourself has been so incredibly powerful for me, because it's not just journaling. Instead of it just being rolling around in your head and ruminating and making you crazy and, and hijacking you emotionally and performance wise, just getting it out and creating that, having that conversation with yourself on pen. And I do physically. I get a pen and I get a paper. I do not think it's healthy, but it's a good start to do it digitally, because it's just a different exercise with the body and the brain when you're actually joining the left and right side of the brain, because you're bringing the creativity, but it's flowing analytically through the pen. So big fan of that. Affirmational self-talk. Instead of beating yourself up and saying things like that you didn't do, it's like, how can you flip the script and be like, and put it in a positive set. Like, I am doing this. This is happening. Like, like I feel great, or like, or even like with that subtle, something that might seem as a loss or something like that. Like, what am I learning from that, and how is that empowering me for the future? And that kind of comes around with also mental is gratitude. Just being grateful, John, has been shown scientifically to increase our happiness, John. And just exercising gratitude in as short as 3 weeks has been scientifically shown to increase your happiness by 25%.
Jeez.
It's tremendous.
Yeah.
Just by saying I am grateful for, and that could be just your journaling, just writing down like I'm grateful for this and that. End of the day, beginning of the day, they both work great. Like, what am I grateful for right now? What am I grateful at the end of the day? And that's going to it's going to help you change your mental processing, because you're going to be filtering the world and how you're doing things in a different way through gratitude, instead of whatever other BS that's getting in your way of your brilliance.
Yeah.
So,
no, absolutely, man. And we've got a couple of comments that I want to make sure we address, and then I want to cover what we're going to talk about next week and who we're going to have on the show. Just scrolling through some of the comments, got some great stuff here. A lot of stuff about the water, implementing that. Hey, coffee. Not only is coffee a diuretic, but it's also a stimulant, so that can also affect your sleep, which we obviously want them to. We want them to have better sleep. There was a question here about plant-based versus meat-based proteins. I am not a dietitian, so I can't really speak to that. I like my meat personally, but I also know my mother is a vegetarian. She's been a long time vegetarian. My father is a vegetarian, recently converted to being a vegetarian, and they've seen tremendous health improvements. So, but I am not a dietitian. I don't know if you want to talk to that at all, Will.
I will. You know what's funny? Last week, John, I saw an incredible documentary on. There's so many streaming services. I might have been Netflix, but it was all about like this high performance athlete, UFC fighter, that wanted to, he got in some trouble physically, with his body and stuff like that, and then had to take a big step back and also start to analyze his performance. And he had no idea where it was going to take him, but it took him to studying a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which I thought was so interesting. The strongest man in the world. I mean, this guy carried 1,240 pounds on his back, 30 feet across the stage. Strongest man in the world eats solely vegetables. Solely 100% vegetables. And they really break down the science beautifully. I'm about 80 or 90% plant-based. Like, I have a little bit of meat in here and there. Like, those burritos were vegetable burritos, by the way, right? And I had a smoothie earlier with no meat. But I did have I had steak last night with my friends, But it really there's a lot of science out there for plant-based, and and knowing science. I have a degree, a bachelor in science, in biology. And the evidence is out there and real, and you can experience for yourself just by switching over to plants. Even just a few days, you're probably going to feel energy be even higher. So, but
the movie is The Game Changers.
Boom, that's the one.
I googled it, but I've seen it, and it's pretty amazing. I think there may be some motivation behind the movie, but we won't get into that. But I think that there is a lot of science behind the plant-based diet, and my parents are again examples of that. I know many people who are living examples of recovering from diabetes or cancer because they switched to not only plant-based diets but raw diets. I've done a raw diet. I did it for 6 months, lost a ton of weight. I felt great, but then I craved meat. That's just who I am personally, and I'm not going to say one way or the other is necessarily better, but I think there's definitely evidence to eating plant-based diets. That said, I think man, if you have anything else, I'm just going to scroll through.
No, you know what? I just want to talk about next week in 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's do it.
Then we can close, okay? So we got Liz Plank. We have our first guest on the show. We had Jackie on our first episode. She slid in. So no disrespect to Jackie. Jackie was a guest on our show. Our second guest on our first guest in the second season is Liz Plank. She's a friend of mine from New York. We talked about her book a bunch of times, For the Love of Men. Pick it up or audio book it if you want to before next week. She's going to come in and talk to us about toxic masculinity. She has been a contributor at MSNBC, I believe CBS. She was an anchor on Vox News for a long time. She's a real an unapologetic feminist, which I think is interesting. She's studying men. Her book is loaded with a lot of details. We're going to have her in. So I'm so excited to connect with her personally and on the show, because I haven't really seen her very much, and she used to be a great student of mine and turned out to be a great friend, and is just a real powerhouse in the world today. And I'm so excited to have her on and join us, John, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. So we'll have her here. Will and I have been reading the book. We'll run through some of the highlights that we noted, but it's just unbelievably fascinating to read from a feminist's perspective how that toxic masculinity affects us, not just as men, but as a society, as a country, as a world. It's just unbelievable. So we're looking forward to having her on next week. It'll be the same time here, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, here on LinkedIn Live. And then as far as this particular episode, we'll be going to podcast later this afternoon. If you would, please give it a review, a like, comment, whatever. We'd definitely appreciate that. So we've only got a few more minutes, man. Sorry, the time got away from me, brother.
No. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm going to do, John, because we got to get our closing practice here. We're just I'm going to show us right now how just 5 breaths can make a big difference in how we're feeling, what we're doing, right? So good. Everyone find that seat. Good. Exhale the breath out, like a nice little through the mouth, just to kind of let go of some energy in the throat. Right. Let's take a big giant balloon breath in. And exhale out the mouth again. Open up that throat, release that stress. And a few more big inhale. Keep going. More breath. Exhale out. 3 more. Bigger breath in. If you can, fill from the hips all the way to the middle of the chest, all the way top of the chest. Exhale out. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Oh, and let it go. And then just take a quick note how you're feeling now. And John, thank you so much for this time today. This is really another, wow, I loved what we were talking about today, but we got to go so we can get this under an hour. But
that's right.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brother, man. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. All right. Later.
Thanks, John. Peace. Bye.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.